Hey there, fashion enthusiasts and DIY heroes, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm super excited to bring you a sew-along tutorial that's going to make you feel like a Greek goddess. We're diving into the stunning GAIA dress sewing pattern, a masterpiece that perfectly blends elegance with a dash of daring. It's long, it's got a tasteful side tie that adds a touch of sophistication with a cutout to keep things interesting. It's like the kind of dress you'd rock at a fancy thing but still feel like you. Totally the outfit you'd wear to look epic without even trying too hard. This sewing pattern is all about keeping it simple and stylish, so you can make something gorgeous without getting tangled up in complicated steps. Grab your front and back bodice pieces and place them with their right sides facing each other. Once they're perfectly aligned, pin the shoulders in place. This will keep them from moving around while you sew. Set it to a 4-thread overlock stitch. This will make your seams strong and neat. Sew the shoulders using a 0.7 centimeter seam allowance. If you don't own an overlock machine, a zigzag stitch or elastic stitch at the regular sewing machine will do. Once you've sewn the seam, let's give it a little press. Iron the seam towards the back. You're going to do the same thing with your lining pieces. Let's join the main fabric bodice piece with the lining. Place them right sides together, carefully aligning the neckline and armhole. It's important to match the notches too, as they guide you in aligning everything perfectly. We're going to add the elastic band in the neckline stitch. Cut the elastic to the same length as the neckline edge. Next, it's time to sew the armhole. Sew using a 4-thread overlock stitch and sew around the armhole. Moving on to the neckline, we're going to add the elastic band in the stitch. This can be a bit tricky, so sew slowly and try not to stretch the fabric or the elastic. This step requires a bit of patience, but you've got this. Lastly, turn the bodice right side out through the shoulder and press on the seams. After turning the bodice right side out, it's time to join the left side. Line up the side edges of the main fabric and lining, right sides together. Make sure to match the underarm seams for a neat fit. Pin these edges in place to keep them aligned while sewing. Sew along the pinned edges. Finally, press the seam you've just sewn. Next up, let's attach the bottom of the bodice. Start by placing the main fabric and lining right sides together. Make sure to align the bottom edge from the side all the way to the notch. Like we did with the neckline, we'll be adding an elastic band to this seam. Cut the elastic to the same length as the edge you're working on. Moving on to the tie piece, begin by folding it in half lengthwise. Once it's folded, pin the edges to keep them in place. You'll be sewing along one short edge and the long edge next to it. This forms a sort of L shape with your stitching. Turn the tie inside out. You might need to use a pointy object like a pencil or a chopstick to push out the corners and give them a nice shape. Finally, give your tie a good press with an iron. Let's attach the tie to the bodice. Begin by taking the raw edge of the tie and sliding it into the waist gap, ensuring that the right sides of the tie and the bodice are facing each other. You're aiming to reach the open right side edge of the bodice. Carefully align the raw edges on this right side. It's important to make sure everything lines up neatly for a seamless finish. Align the seam of the tie with the bottom seam of the bodice. Repeat on the other side. You'll need to measure the right side of the bodice where you've just sewn. This measurement will determine the length of the boning piece you need. Next, take your boning piece and cut it to this adjusted length. After cutting, use scissors to round off the end of the boning. This rounding is an important step. It prevents any sharp edges from poking or discomfort when the garment is worn. Next, you'll attach the boning to the bodice. Start by placing the boning over the seam allowance. Make sure to center it on the seam. This positioning is crucial for ensuring that the boning provides the right support and maintains the shape of your garment. Once the boning is correctly positioned, it's time to sew it in place. Use a regular stitch on your sewing machine for this. Repeat on the backside and second tie. Gently pull the bodice inside out through the waist hole. This step might take a bit of careful maneuvering. Once the bodice is inside out, grab your iron. Press the top of the bodice and all the seams you've sewn so far. Now it's time to close up the waist gap. To do this, you'll need to work with the wrong sides of the fabric together. Carefully align the edges of the waist gap. Once the edges are aligned, sew a basting stitch along the edge with a 0.5 centimeters seam allowance. Let's place our front skirt piece over the back skirt piece together. They should be pinned together right side to right side, and be sure to match up those notches. Time to attach the bust to the skirt. Align the two pieces right sides together at the waist and pin between the two notches. Baste in place using a 0.5 centimeter seam allowance. Take a measuring tape and measure around the waist of the skirt where the elastic will be placed. This will ensure that the elastic fits snugly and comfortably. Place the elastic on the wrong side of the skirt fabric and pin in place to sit comfortably. Place under the overlock machine and join the elastic to the fabric, avoiding stretching the fabric or the elastic as you go. Fold in the elastic to create a faux elastic casing, and fix it in place with a top stitch around the entire waistline. Set your sewing machine to an elastic stitch or zigzag and sew at 0.5 centimeters from the edge on the right side of the dress, catching the elastic as you sew. If you prefer a clean edge, you can fold the elastic and fix it in place with little top stitches on the side seams. And voila, your dress is ready. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon.